Tim, I'm going to pass it on to you, and we're live.
Sure. Welcome to Boss Free Society Google Hangout. Today we have a very special guest with us, and before we go into our guest, I'm really excited just to kind of share with everyone what Boss Free Society is and who we're about and what we're trying to accomplish. And we want to help people live extraordinary lives and then attracting the right prosperity partners to make it happen. We live in the solution, pay it forward, and choose to live a life by design. And today our very special guest is Sarah McDermott. And Sarah started a movement which is called Less Talk, More Do. And we couldn't have thought of a better person to talk with here this evening than Sarah McDermott. So Sarah, why don't we invite you to the call and let's start learning about Less Talk, More Do.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tim, for having me, and Patty. I'm honored to be included. And yeah, I'd love to tell you more about, I call it LTMD because it's just
easier.
Yeah, more fun, I guess. Ultimately, what it is, Less Talk, More Do, is a symbol of hope and optimism with the company mission to remind people that they are capable of doing great things. And that's it. And I've sort of built a website around that concept.
And so how did it start, and like what are some of the things that you've been able to do with LTMD?
Well, it began kind of as a joke between my husband and myself, with the serious meaning behind it. We would say it to one another to motivate each other to start really living our potential. If one of us would say that they wanted to do something, something either creative or health-wise or really anything, we would follow up with, well, then do it. Less talk, more do, LTMD. And that's how it all started. But then for Christmas, I ended up making him a T-shirt that said less talk, more do on it. And when I gave it to him, something kind of clicked. And we realized there might be something to this, and then started investigating, seeing if anyone had ever trademarked the saying, and it all kind of evolved from there.
And how long ago was that?
That was Christmas 2012, so about a year and a half ago.
Wow, so in a year and a half you've done quite a bit with your mission, what LTMD is.
We have, and it's very cool. It's been progressing and evolving really nicely. I couldn't have imagined it would look the way it does now a year and a half ago, because when it all started, I really didn't know how to begin, and the first steps were just calling friends, calling people who had started businesses of their own, and just sort of learning kind of how to go from there. But yeah, it's been going great.
So what would you say is one thing that one or two things that you've learned that really helped you catapult and really take those steps to make your dream a reality?
You know, I've been given advice from a lot of unlikely sources. I've been introduced to a lot of friends of friends, people who have started businesses or really started anything creative. And some of the best advice I've been given was have a plan, but be open and willing to change your plan. That was some great advice. And something else I was told was that present your idea, but people will let you know how they want to use it. So, which I think is really interesting.
Sure.
When I first started LTMD, I didn't want to write a blog. I didn't think I had to. I really wanted it to be a black and white website that said less talk, more do, and I thought people would just sort of understand what I meant. And I met with all these people who kind of reminded me that people need to find your website. You need to get your message out there. So those have all been really big lessons for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how do people find out about you? Do you have a niche in particular that the message of LTMD has really spoken to? Has it evolved into a niche, or is it just broad-based?
You know, it's pretty broad-based right now. It's what I ask people to do, people who are interested in the message, is define it for themselves. And people define it in a lot of different ways. I've been told by some people that it's a message about health and wellness. less talk, more do, go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told by people that it's a message about traveling the world. Less talk, more do, start saving, take that trip. I've been told by people that it's a message for senior citizens to start checking off items off their bucket list.
Oh, that's
For
cool.
me, it's a very entrepreneurial message. For me, it literally means, Sarah, don't quit. You said you wanted to start something. Now you have. Now you can't stop, because a big part of the message is that I won't quit. I'll do as much as I can, as often as I can, because that's what the message is, to me at least.
Right.
So that's really inspiring. So has this been an entrepreneurial endeavor that you've done in parallel with something else from an entrepreneur standpoint?
I have I have tried to start other things in the past. There was a very short-lived dating service, party planning, event planning thing that I did a couple of years ago. I do own a patent on something else. I've written things in the past, but what I've learned from all of my past experiences is that I've actually had some pretty good ideas, but I've just quit them all. And I don't know that it takes lightning to strike. I don't know that I need to invent a tablet in order to, move the needle. I think it can be anything. I think that the missing ingredient for me was always not sticking with it. What was missing for me was that I quit. I think you could take anything to the moon if you see it through. And that's what LTMD means to me. It means, Sarah, don't quit. You said you wanted to start something. This is it. And so for me, it's all very cyclical. LTMD is LTMD for me. My LTMD is LTMD.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well,
So
I think
I'm sorry, Tim.
No,
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, Patty, you go.
No, I was going to say, I think it really, really speaks to me, because I know that in the past you try things out and then they're like, well, should I keep going? Or it's just so easy to say, it's not worth it. The time isn't right. I got into the wrong thing. As an entrepreneur, you're always experimenting. So to that point, it sounds like the message of LTMD is very much around stick with it until, right? Keep going until you get to that. Is there any... So when you go to this site, is it more motivation, inspiration, or are there tools and techniques that you can apply, as whether you're an entrepreneur or a senior citizen that you talked about, or anybody looking and finds you?
Things that they'll find on my website are, there is a weekly motivational blog, and we cover all different types of topics. There's business tips, there's health and wellness, there's family. I offer tips. I usually cite doctors and other people who have far more experience than I do, but just allow people the resources. If they are looking to research certain topics, they can find them on my website, all with a motivational theme. You can also find on the site a place where you can sign up for goals.
That's great.
You fill in your own goal, and then you receive a weekly email reminder of your goal, and usually a motivational quote, just a reminder. All LTMD is a reminder. It's a symbol. It's a rabbit's foot. You're supposed to look at it and think about yourself. You're not supposed to think about me. You're only supposed to think about yourself. So then I do have a number of products as well with our logo on it that people can buy. And again, it's really important to me that people know that this is about themselves. They have to define it, and then they have to do the work. But this is just a little keepsake that you can keep on your desk that says, hey, you said you wanted this. Don't quit. And that's all it is. And then there are a couple of other things. There's something called the Do of the Day, where there's different Chicago-based activities. You can look for events and things like that. There's a couple of interactive pieces to the website.
That's cool. Can you think off the top of your head a story that's really inspired you when somebody has come back and said, you know what, your message of less talk, more do has just really been the catalyst for me finally getting that thing done or accomplishing that goal?
It's been interesting because people have been reaching out to me, and it's a different way to interact with the universe that I just never thought I would be. I mean, all these people who I don't know, reaching out to me and telling me that this gave them a little bit of inspiration or hope. In particular, I was emailed by someone in Spain who told me that they loved the message and that it really spoke to them in terms of world travel and just living in the ultimate experience. At one point, I was thinking about whether or not I should give my message more tunnel vision and say less talk, more do means this, and thought that maybe because it was so broad that people had a hard time understanding what it meant. So I thought, you know, if it meant one thing, what could it mean? And there was a gentleman who was in his 70s, and he was the one who said to me, well, you know, I don't think you should do that. And I said, why? And he said, well, because to me it means that senior citizens should start going out there and checking things off their bucket list. And I had never heard that before. So what it meant to me was that it had reached it meant so many different things to so many different people that I should never try to define it. And that was it. Like,
That's
he really
cool.
made that clear to me, like, okay, you're right. I shouldn't, because to me it means something completely different anyway.
Yeah, I think, you know, that's really important when you look at it from that perspective, is because when you are an entrepreneur and you are starting new things, the rule that I've kind of always followed is there are no rules. Now, of course, there's, you know, ethics and morality, and I mean, there's things that you have to adhere to, but all in all, though, there really are no rules, and like, your business is a great example of that, because it doesn't fit a cookie cutter for, you know, a business plan. Well, you need to be specific. You need to be this to this, and your business what's great about it is it kind of speaks to everyone, and that's, you know, why you've experienced some success and why you're going to continue to do that, because you're looking for, you know, you're not trying to please everyone, but you're trying to please, you know, but you're able to appeal to everyone, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well, that's what I like about it, you know, and then I think, you know, from my perspective.
What are you wearing, Tim?
Yeah, I have actually. Let's see if you can see that.
Oh, there it is.
Woo!
It's a shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. We gotta help our
Yes.
guests. And, you know, I've always really you know, been compelled to the message, because I think all of us have that in us, where it's like we talk about something over and over and over again,
Yeah.
and we just don't do anything, and it gets to be, you know, something that, you know, you know, it's always in the future and it's never in the present, and that's basically what I look at LTMD is it puts it in the present, and that's, you know, what I really am inspired by with what it's all about.
Yeah, it's so cool. So who inspires you, Sarah? What, you know, did you formulate the message or the mantra that you have for yourself from, you know, maybe a book that you read, or just some people that have inspired you, or how did that come about?
You know, how it originated, it was between my husband and I. So that was how it all started. And I think he and I, the relationship we have is we really encourage one another to just kind of be the best person both of us can be. And that's how it started. But I think LTMD started really taking shape the more I had to motivate myself to not quit, if that makes sense. So I started reading a lot of motivational quotes to kind of pump myself up, because I decided I'm going to do this. I want to start this business, but I don't know how to start this business. I've never done anything like this. And so I would start reading all of these stories and reading about people who have reinvented themselves. A big part of LTMD for me is reinvention. It's stopping saying, I don't like the way things are going, and I want to make some positive forward changes. And there was a famous quote, there's a famous Thomas Edison quote that I love that really kind of shaped the message for me. And it's, if we all did the things we are capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. And I think that's true for everyone. That if we actually just never stopped, if we really saw our dreams through, or at least tried, because it feels good to just try, even if you don't achieve whatever success you thought you were, just putting in the effort and trying. I mean, that is kind of achieving some level of success. But if we all did those things, we would astound ourselves. And I think that's the case. And I think the people who have been successful in life, the secret sauce that they have is confidence. It's just carrying it through. Just don't quit. Do as much as you can, as often as you can. And LTMD is something I work on as often as I can. And I'm a little obsessive. I think anyone who starts anything becomes a little obsessive about it. And I wish I had more time to spend on it. But if I quit because I didn't have enough time to spend on it, well, what's that message? You're only allowed to follow your dreams if you have 40 hours a week to dedicate to said dream.
Yeah, if it's convenient.
Create things on borrowed time. I mean, we're having this conversation at 8 o'clock at night. This isn't the easiest time for anyone, but it's the only time for all of us. And that's kind of how you do it, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Where do you want to take LTMD? Like, what are some of your goals that are in the future?
Ultimately, what I want for this is to be a recognizable symbol. A universal recognizable symbol. And I've got a lot of wood to chop because a lot of this goes down on my kitchen counter. But I for whatever reason, I believe that I'll get there. And so that's the goal. The ultimate goal, the end goal of this is for it to be a recognizable symbol. And once it becomes one, I think anything could happen. And I'm open to that. I'm open to a lot of different things happening with LTMD.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that, when you set a goal so big, it can be daunting, but at the same time, you have a lot of work to do to get it, and that kind of keeps the fuel burning, and knowing that you gotta keep doing what you're doing. Like you said, never quit. That's what always when it comes to being an entrepreneur or starting your own business or any endeavor, it's never quitting and just being present and honest to yourself and going forward and making things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So have you created an interactive community at all, Sarah? Have you leveraged social media with this, since it sounds like your movement has global reach, right, with the woman or the man that you mentioned in Spain?
Right.
So how are you getting the word out?
Well, it being 2014 is a great thing for entrepreneurs. And yes, I am kind of waging a social media campaign, and that's a really big part of it for me, is Twitter and Google Plus and LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and all of them. All of the Pinterest, yeah, just got on Pinterest. And it's Google Plus is, by the way, I mean, I know we're on Google and Google. Tim, do you put stuff on Google Plus?
I do, but not enough.
Whatever you're doing, you're not doing enough. Because whatever I'm doing, you're not doing enough. Google Plus is amazing. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about Google anymore. But it really is remarkable, and that's it. Seen. Right.
What is remarkable? So which platform have you gotten the best kind of interaction or response?
Well, I've gotten the best interaction and response from Twitter. I would say my Twitter reach is the farthest right now. And Twitter's interesting. It's like anything else. You just have to learn how to use it. It's like anything else in the world. It's intimidating at first. I didn't understand it. It's a weird ticker of a million people shouting at one another and selling something, promoting something, saying something, but it's an opportunity is what it is to share information with countless numbers of people, and it could be reshared any amount of times. It's fascinating. I used to be so intimidated by technology, and I think it's because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But now that I've come to embrace it, or at least I'm willing to learn. I was never willing to learn kind of anything, or things I didn't know. I would tell myself, I don't know how to do that. I'm not going to do that. I don't know how to do that. And then with this, it sort of forced me, like, well, if you want to get this done, you have to learn how to use these things. And so I love Twitter. I have a lot of fun.
Out of curiosity, can you share with us maybe a ninja tip on Twitter, like people who are looking to get the word out of their product or their brand? It sounds like you're really comfortable now in Twitter. How do you get the word out
I'm,
there? What's a great tip?
I'm still learning. I'm no Kardashian. If the Kardashians are out there, I have T-shirts for you and Kanye and whoever else.
Maybe it should be less talk, more booty. That might be
You
for
know
a
what?
Kardashian.
Oh my God.
Trademark that tonight. Oh, okay. So Twitter, yeah. You can see what's trending that day, and you can create your own content for whatever's trending, the hashtag. And I don't know, like, do you guys know how to Photoshop images and things like that? I learned how to do all that. So I create all my own marketing materials, and once you learn how to do that, you can kind of crank it out as often as you want, and it's fun. And I've really enjoyed it. And things like that for Twitter, you get involved in the conversations that are trending and things like that, but you want to create unique content. You don't just want to shout at everybody, hey, buy my T-shirt or go read this article or whatever. You go where people are hanging out. And a lot of times the conversations people are hanging out in are these trending conversations. So that's one way. And again, like, my Twitter account's going, I think, very well, but I'm certainly not in the hundreds of thousands yet. But I think another thing you could do too is you follow people who are following you and try to have conversations with people. A lot of times Twitter it kind of feels like everyone just shouting at each other.
Right.
It's almost like everyone in Madison Square Garden trying to get the referee's attention. It's crazy, but I think if you actually just try and get the person right next to your attention, and kind of focus on a handful of people,
Right.
build your community that way, and never forget that there are people behind these Twitter accounts, actual human beings, and you don't know who they are, and you can communicate with them, and that stands for all of social media. That's what makes it all so interesting and fascinating, and everything feels so possible. And I can be doing a lot of this from my kitchen counter.
Yeah, it is so cool, and the fact that you can reach, on a global basis with the message and engage. And I think whatever platform that I find that people are on, it's about engagement. It's about the consistent engagement, to trying to find out what makes people tick, or how do we start this conversation and keep it going. So I agree. That's great. I haven't heard that be the case on Twitter as often, right, as on Facebook. So that's really cool that you're having a lot of good fortune on Twitter. That's good.
I really like Facebook too. I have a lot of fun on Facebook too.
Yeah, it's an easy one, right? I think it's an easy one. It goes with the age range too, with the demographic, because your offering is so broad based. It makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Is there a special mantra besides LTMD that you live by, or that you have you kind of used in your entrepreneurial journey?
And I'm having a really hard time.
Yeah, you're really hard to hear, Tim.
That's better.
There we go. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, much better.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. The question was, besides LTMD, do you have any mantra that you live by as you go on your entrepreneurial journey?
I would say it's just do as much as you can, as often as you can. You do the best you can. And that's the best you can do.
Right.
And that kind of, you kind of lose the excuses when you look at it that way. I'm not going to say, well, I can't work on it for an hour today, so I'm not going to work on it at all. If you can work on it for 15 minutes, you work on it for 15 minutes. You do the best you can do. And that's it.
Good. So in terms of 2014, being that we're close to halfway through, I mean, can you believe it?
I know, that's crazy.
It's insane. But as you look at 2014, what do you want to have accomplished by the end of the year for LTMD?
Oh, man. By the end of the year, what do I want accomplished for LTMD? I think if the second half of the year looks as good as the first half of the year, I'll be psyched. I think as long as it's growing and evolving, that's what it's supposed to do. And when I take a step back and I look at the whole picture here in business, I only went live a year ago. And
cool.
it's like anything else. You know, if I learned to play guitar a year ago and I wasn't selling out shows, you would probably tell me, well, probably got to get better at guitar. So I think it's the same thing here. I've only been doing this for a year. I have to get better. I think my skills will get better. I think my writing will get better. And I think with that, more people will be interested in learning more about it. And as long as those numbers keep going up, then I'm doing the right thing.
That's great. So how do people find out more about your movement, LTMD? How do they participate?
Well, I've been having a lot of people sign up for the weekly motivational reminders. That's one way to just actually interact with me, because I personally do all of that correspondence. And again, through social media, people can come to the website. They can read the blog. Yeah, you can find me through the website and kind of go from there.
Okay. And your website URL?
It's less talk dash more do.
Okay.
I know. There's a hyphen in it.
That should be fine.
It was the best I could do, you guys. And I really wanted the other one, but whatever. If you Google less talk more do, I'm the whole first page. There is nothing else.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
So, and then again, that's a Google Plus thing, so get on it. It really is remarkable.
It's search engine friendly.
Yes, very much so.
Is that what SEO means?
Well,
Search engine optimization.
optimization. Yeah.
That last part, I knew that answer.
You should have known that. No,
I do know that.
I know you know that.
So that's cool. So people get a hold of Sarah at lesstalk-or-moredo.com, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And what about like your Twitter handle, Facebook? Give us all the juicy details.
Yeah, the how to get a hold of you.
All right. So Facebook is less talk period more do period, because that is actually the logo. There's a period in between the less talk and the more do. So
Yes,
Facebook less talk period more do period. Twitter is less talk _ more do. I know. There's an underscore. Best I could do. Instagram, same thing, _ less talk _ more do. LinkedIn, you can find me, Sarah McDermott, on LinkedIn. Actually, refer to myself as the do-rector at Let's Talk More Do.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
So witty.
Well, it's something. And Google Plus, less talk period more do. You can find me. But also, if you go to my website, all of the social media little icons are on that, and you can just click on them and find me and follow me that way.
Great. Great. Very cool. So, Tim, do you want to close out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited that we were able to have Sarah, and just because I believe in her message so strongly, and obviously she's been able to communicate exactly what it is and where it kind of fits for everybody, and I think that's what's so powerful. So actually, Sarah, if there's any parting words, any words of wisdom, anything that that we didn't ask you that you would have liked us to have asked you, this is your time to shine right here. Give us a minute or so of your whatever you want.
For anyone that's watching this, I just want to say thank you for spending a couple of minutes to learn about LTMD. And if there's ever any questions, you can reach out to me through the website, through social media. Again, if you sign up for the weekly goal reminder, it is me, so we could email. And that's it. Just thank you for anyone listening.
That's awesome.
That is. That's good people. Sarah McDermott is.
Oh no.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you so much. And I want a T-shirt. I will be ordering a T-shirt. I will be going to Less Talk hyphen or
Hyphen.
dash mordu.com.
I mean, actually, I just thought
lesson-dash.com.
too. I have a shirt. I'm getting a mouse pad.
Okay,
'Cause
cool.
I think
I'll send you both some stuff. Come on now.
it's okay.
It's
No.
for the cause. It's for the
It's for the
cause.
It's for the
Oh,
cause.
the cause, I'll send them to you, please. My pleasure. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me. Really
Yes,
great.
thank you so much. Thank
So
you,
again,
guys.
this has been a Boss Free Society interview, Google Plus Hangout. We're having fun. I'm Tim Wambach,
I'm Patty Dominguez.
and we are out.
See you guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.